Hello everybody. In this video I'm going to teach you how to format a paper in MLA 9, the current edition of MLA format. MLA format is relatively popular in the academic world, and if you're here you likely have already been asked to use it. So for an academic paper, not just MLA format, you're going to need to set the font to a fairly typical font like Times New Roman or Arial, and it's usually about 12. And MLA format papers are usually double-spaced, and that's mostly it for the text formatting. So then you start with the relevant details towards you and your class in the assignment itself. Here I'll write a generic name, and then you're going to press enter, and that's at the very top, left justified. And then assuming that you're writing the paper for a professor, you're going to need to write the professor's name, and then the relevant class to which you're submitting the paper, and then the date at which you started writing the paper in the format of day, month, and then year. And then you center justify it. Give your paper a title. Just put some sort of placeholder there. And here, starting with an indent, is where you'll write your paper, your research paper, whatever you've been assigned. And then it's best to start with the works cited page. You're going to go to insert up here, break, and then page break. That way, your works cited page will always stay at the end no matter how many pages you write, and it will always be separate from the text. You won't have to keep pressing enter over and over again. Get rid of the indent there, and then center align the first line on this page. And you will title this page either works cited, bibliography, or references. Any of those are fine, assuming that your professor didn't specify which one to title it. And then you press enter, and then back to left justify for the references. You're going to, in alphabetical order based on the author's last name, cite each of your references in this format: last name, comma, first name, period. And then of course you want the title of the source. If it's an article or a short story or something smaller like that, you're going to put it in quotation marks. An article that someone wrote on a blog, let's say that. And then you put a period there, followed by the closing quotation mark. If it's a longer work, such as a novel, for instance, you're going to format it as italic and simply put the title here. Close out the italics, and then put a period to follow that. So now that you've got the name of the author of the article or the longer work, then fill in as many details as you can find. Say you got this from a blog, you're going to put in italics the blog you got the article from. And then here, this novel, this longer work, you're going to most likely need the publisher. Following that with a comma, add any additional personnel that worked on the article in any way, say editing, translating, stuff like that, and then a comma. And then comes the publication information. So let's say this is a hardcover book. The publisher is going to be important here, of course, and that will also go in italics. Or say this domain right here, Exterminator Paradise, is hosted by MSN. You're going to put that in italics as well. And after that, if relevant, you can add the page numbers. And then you're going to put the date at which the article was published, using as much information as you have, followed by a comma. And then, if relevant, you're going to put the page numbers in this format. It's good to put an EN dash there because an EN dash represents a range of pages. And this is especially applicable if you're citing a full novel, then you likely won't need this, but this is especially applicable if you're citing a short story within a longer work or just a section of, say, a nonfiction book. And then follow that with a period. And if you did end up using a website, then you're going to need to include a link with the website. Copy it, and then you paste without formatting. Follow that with a period and then a space so that the link highlights, and then you erase this HTTPS. The order at which you put your works cited entries is based on the first letter of the last name of the author, or if there's no author that you could find, the first letter of the article's title. And there will of course be different publication information that comes up with different sources, and the publication details will vary on a case-by-case basis. So for more specific details on how to cite the trickier sources, it's best to look up MLA and then the current version, that being 9, on Google, and then find the link that is published by Purdue OWL, as they are the authorities in this MLA citations. But for the most part, most sources are going to be either a website page or a book. But at any rate, these are the most common details that you're going to end up putting for each source. One more thing to do here on the works cited page is create a hanging indent between each of your sources. So for Google Docs, what you're going to do is highlight these entries, all of your entries, and then you're going to take this arrow right here, drag it over to where it says 0.50, release it, and then click this rectangle right on top of it and drag it back to the left here to 0. And this creates a hanging indent where your first lines of each entry are more justified to the left than subsequent lines. As for in-text citations, MLA is fairly easy. So say you just quoted something, then you need to cite your source. So you go down to the works cited entry, and whichever of your sources that you just used, you're going to take just the last name, put it in parentheses, and then any relevant page numbers that was from, you put within that parentheses as well. If you're citing a video in text, you're going to put the relevant timestamp at which the quote or the event on screen appeared. And then, of course, the citation title. There will also be times, of course, when you are citing a specific work, but not quoting directly from the source. Like, for instance, you're using a specific idea that you got from your article, and you will still need to put a citation there, unless it's an idea or fact that's commonly known. So then you, again, cite the relevant page number and the author. Except, of course, when your last citation was the same author and source, you don't need to rewrite the author's name in your citation, in the citation that follows. And the last tip I have for you is that it will increase your productivity at these things more if you simply copy and paste old citations or a template to your works cited page and then rewrite everything from there for a new paper. I hope you found this helpful, and I will see you in the next video.